Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well. If you're new here, my name is Megan and I'm from the Philippines. I have been living in Australia for about a year now, and finally I've decided to do this video about my story of how I ended up here. But before I get started, if hindi pa kayo nakasubscribe, please subscribe to my channel by hitting the subscribe button below and also the bell notification para ma-notify kayo whenever I upload new videos like this. Also, if this is a topic that you're interested in, then definitely hit that thumbs up button as well para I know what types of videos you want to see more of on this channel. Ayun, ang hirap mag-English. Okay, so just a little disclaimer, yung mga i-share ko sa video na to are all based on my experience. So unfortunately, I can't really guarantee you anything, but I do hope you find this video helpful, especially if you're someone who is looking to find work in Australia through a company-sponsored visa, which is what we are on. I predicted that this video is going to be a bit long, kaya I have my laptop in front of me so that I'm sure na I don't miss out on any information that I wanted to share with you. So when it comes to my visa journey, I think it's important for me to share with you the backstory so that you understand where I'm coming from. This was around July 2019 when my partner and I were both living in Manila, and his company decided to offer him a position here in Australia. His company is Australian and is Australia-based or Brisbane-based. That is why we are here. Now, obviously, neither of us are Australian. John is British and I am Filipino. So we definitely both needed a visa that would work for us and for the scenario that we are in. When that option came up, we talked about it and we decided na it is for the best if he took that offer. Now, fortunately, his company was nice enough to extend the visa sponsorship to me, his partner. It meant na I could also be going to Australia and work here, but not necessarily for their company. It was more of a +1, so I was a secondary visa holder. So we basically ended up with the same visa, which is called the Temporary Skills Shortage Visa with a subclass 482, with myself being a secondary visa holder. I wouldn't really delve into it so much in detail because a lot of it you can find online anyway, and I don't want to give you false information if in case things change in the future. If you're looking for any information, it's always best to look at the Australian government immigration website. Their immigration website is the imi.homeaffairs.gov.au, and I'll link everything down below. Research talaga, guys. Yun yung important about visa applications, whether it's for travel, leisure travel, or for work. So during the process, we did have an immigration lawyer who was helping us through it, because with the application process, it's 3 parts. There is first the sponsorship, which means the company, I think, needs to apply to be a sponsor, like to sponsor someone from overseas. The second is the nomination. So they then need to nominate someone that they will be sponsoring, and then the visa application itself. It is a complex process, and that is why we had an immigration lawyer. Especially as in ako, kasi I had a lot of questions. I was a secondary visa holder, so I wasn't sure what I was gonna be getting in the end in terms of what work can I do, ano ba yung restrictions for me, and ano ba yung mga kailangan ko ipakita if I'm not the nominated worker. And then I think the next logical question to this sequence is, why did we end up with the visa that we have? So we are on the Temporary Skills Shortage Visa subclass 482. So according to the website, this is what it says. This temporary visa lets an employer sponsor a suitably skilled worker to fill a position they can't find a suitably skilled Australian to fill. So it means they need to do the hiring process in Australia first and then find someone. If they can't find anyone here, they find someone else overseas. That's how it works. So with the Temporary Skills Shortage Visa Subclass 482 or TSS 482, yun na lang yung sasabihin ko. May two options siya. There's a short stream option, which is 2 years, and a medium stream option, which is 4 years. Now, for my partner, John, his position was, I think, only eligible for the 2-year one in the meantime. So that's why we are currently on a short stream. And yes, our visa will be expiring in 2 years' time. We can't extend it, but we need to reapply again. So yun lang yung process. With the reapplication, there shouldn't be any problem if in the end parang the company still needs him to stay here. So there are different employer-sponsored visa programs, and it's not just the 482, and the restrictions do vary depending on which ones you are eligible for. There are fees involved, and in our case, this was covered by the company. Apart from our health insurance, which we obviously need to have anyway, and also my flight, kasi hindi naman ako yung employee. But again, this depends on your situation, what the conversation is with the company that you're gonna be working with. For my work situation, there isn't any restrictions. As a secondary visa holder of the 482, wala siyang restrictions in terms of how many hours I can work. I can do full-time. So, mga 8 to 5, 9 to 5, ganyan, 40 hours a week. I also hold like a tax number here. As in, the only thing is that if my primary visa holder, if mag-end na yung visa niya, then my visa automatically ends. So for the TSS subclass 482, meron silang list on the immigration website of all the occupations na eligible for that visa. Now, if you're interested, it's honestly better to just read through everything, get all the information you need, and really do your research para mas clear. Everything I'm sharing is just based on my experience, so I can't really give you tips on like that will guarantee the approval of your visa or guarantee na may mahanap kang employer to sponsor you here. Hopefully, if this is something that you are interested in or looking at, that you find the right match of employer and position for you. Now, if you have any questions about anything I mentioned above, please feel free to comment below. I will try my best to answer, but again, please take my advice or my experience with a grain of salt and do thorough research as well. So, documents required. We had many conversations with our immigration lawyer as to which visa would be most suitable for us. And then after that, we proceeded on to the next step, which is filling out a lot of forms and gathering the many documents that we needed. So for our situation, because we are partners and not married yet, we've had to add a few documents, throwing it out there na in case you might run into this situation as well. So for us, it included the usual visa application itself, the usual visa requirements like passport photos, birth certificate, copy of passport ID, police checks, etc. Tapos, because we were applying for a work visa, we also included mga diploma, certificates of accomplishments, awards. I did have some bank statements ready and it was there, but I think it wasn't really that essential for this situation because it's a work visa. So it meant na you were gonna earn anyway in Australia, so that baka it wasn't needed. But I sent it to them anyway. We've also had a few other additional documents pertaining to the relationship, yung nga yung sinasabi ko earlier, that would vouch for us as individuals and our relationship itself. We submitted something called the supporting witness statements, which is statements from people in our lives. I think we submitted 2 each that would vouch for us and our relationship. So I asked my brother to write mine, and he wrote, how they met and how involved my partner is in the family, mga ganon. And then I think John also asked his brother and another friend of his to write the statements for us. So with the supporting witness statements, it is ideal that you get an Australian citizen or a PR, or if it's outside Australia, then you just get it notarized. At least for our case in the Philippines, getting documents notarized is the official parang seal. Okay, medyo naiinitan na ako kasi hindi ko ma-on yung electric fan. Mahaba talaga tong video na to. Okay, aside from the supporting witness statements, we also had relationship statements. Relationship statements is when you talk about your relationship. So, tig-isa kami. We both wrote something and our statements needed to align with each other. Like, kailangan tama yung mga details. Hindi pwedeng magkaiba kami ng sinasabi. We actually really wrote our statements separately so that it was nice and like sincere. And then we came together and kind of just highlighted some details that we wanted to parang make sure that we both had, like when we first met. Apart from that, the partner evidence is probably, it wasn't that hard to get. It was just kind of ma-effort siya. The immigration lawyer that we were talking to actually suggested that if it does happen, it's better na mag-start na kami mag-compile ng mga ebidensya tungkol sa relationship namin. So, even before we did the application, we were already like putting videos, photos, texts into one folder para we had access to it. Like, paano kami nagsimula? We actually met on Bumble. So, we had a screenshot of Bumble and then some pictures. We took a screenshot, we uploaded it, whatever it was. The post that we put, yung parang status sa Facebook na we are in a relationship, even that, nag-travel kami together with friends, sinama din namin yun. So with partner evidence, what you can do is just really to prove the relationship history. We also had to provide the nature of the household. We both had our condos. We both lived separately. Now, thankfully, I did spend a lot of time at his place. He was living next to my office, so I would sometimes get stuff sent to his place. So, meron akong mga parang proof of correspondence na sa condo niya pinapadala, ganyan. Mga Shopee delivery, ganyan. Mga bills. We put our names on both of our leases of our condos. So that was also another kind of document that we provided. And then aside from that, nature of your commitment to each other. So under this, it meant needing to prove the duration of your relationship, the length of time you have lived together, the degree of companionship and emotional support you draw from each other. If you're married, this shouldn't be a problem. Obviously, you have the marriage contract or any evidence of the relationship registration. So this is interesting. I think I ended up researching it at some point, but in some countries, I think you're able to declare your relationship even if you're partners lang, like boyfriend and girlfriend. Can't remember what country it is, but I think it's a thing. So I think that's what it means here. Evidence that the relationship has continued during any periods of separation. Text messages, emails, WhatsApp, FaceTime records, itemized phone accounts. Our relationship, we actually had an LDR for mga 4 months, and then whenever he was traveling to Australia, he would be LDR. We definitely had evidence that the relationship continued during any periods of separation. That whole section that I just mentioned earlier is things that can prove that your relationship is true. I think that only comes in if you have a secondary visa applicant. Anyway, lastly, in terms of the documents required, we also needed to provide financial stuff. So evidence na you and your partner share financial commitments and responsibilities. So anything na parang joint ownership, real estate, cars, appliances, or you maybe have a joint bank account, bank statements, or if you have parang separate bank accounts, you can share with them parang mga expenses that you have bought for your partner. Just proof of joint billing, basically. So those were the requirements that we've had to provide, and I'm sorry if it was kind of confusing. I was just trying to share with you some examples of what we sent through during our application process. Now, this next part is timeline. How long did it take for us to go through the entire process from that initial conversation of my partner with his company up to the approval of our visa? Now, I recently checked and it looks like medyo natatagalan na din sila ngayon with processing the visas. I guess because COVID, but we definitely had a really quick experience. So he started the discussion with his company around July of 2019. So this was as in initial talks lang, wala pang formalities or anything. We've just been talking to the immigration lawyer and just seeing what the options are. September, we received the visa requirements. So we finally decided on the visa 482 and we started to put together the documents. The immigration lawyer also told us from the beginning, as in when they started talking, that if this does happen and it needs to happen quick, you should probably start gathering evidence about your relationship now, because from her experience, yun yung parang pinakamatagal gawin. So even before, parang naghahanap na talaga kami ng mga videos, photos, evidence, tickets, whatever. So by the time na nakuha na namin yung visa requirements, we were ready to lodge the application. In between September and November, we had a lot of back and forth with the immigration lawyer, which is really when it was super helpful to have one, because she was able to check our documents and just see, recommendations for what we can improve to make our case stronger. Really made us feel a bit more at ease, like we knew what we were doing, and otherwise without professional help, we would not have understood what we were trying to do kasi ang dami. And so November, we have lodged the visa applications. Meron kasing cases before na super bilis, like in a month nakuha na nila, or in 2 months nakuha na nila. And we were actually kind of worried because we were going into December. So it was already November when we sent the visa application. And December would be holiday season. So maraming offices would be closing already, including probably the immigration office. So baka they weren't checking applications anymore. We were hoping that by January we would receive a decision. And thankfully, thank God, praise God, that in January we did receive a decision, and it was obviously, I'm here, it was visa approved. So from November 22 was when we lodged the application, and January 7 was when we got the visa approval. It was grabe. Sobrang exciting, but sobrang nakakakaba din siya kasi you wouldn't know what was gonna happen. And if it didn't happen naman for us, we were both fine to stay in Manila, but it's just such a good opportunity to be able to move here, so we both wanted it. The next steps after the visa was approved was that we needed to sort our health insurance coverage, buy our flights, pack our bags, and leave. Of course, if you're gonna be traveling to any country, you need insurance. That is something that will be required before you enter Australia. So we made sure to fix this even before we left the Philippines. So by the time that we were heading to Australia on our flight, we already had our insurance, health insurance papers with us. And then we had to buy our flights. It was kind of quick. John's company really needed him here, so we really had to find the soonest flights possible. So I guess in terms of my experience, this was definitely a lot smoother than applying for a tourist visa. I felt more at ease doing this. It's just that mas marami siyang requirements, I feel. Because it's also employer-sponsored or company-sponsored, I don't know, hindi ako kinabahan as much as I would be when I'm applying for a tourist visa. Kasi with the tourist visa, they have to know when you're gonna come back. So with this one, nung nasa immigration na kami in the Philippines in the airport, literally, kinuha lang yung passport ko and then they just stamped it and then we left na. Kasi I guess when they search for my passport number on the system, maybe the visa is already there and it says a work visa and it's a 2-year valid work visa. So there wasn't really any questioning or anything like that. So that is it for this video. I know it was kind of long, but I hope you learned something today. If this video is something that you enjoyed or found helpful, I hope you do subscribe to my channel and give it a like to show your support. And if you have any other questions or if you would like for me to do more videos about about moving to Australia, then please definitely let me know in the comments section below. I would really appreciate it as I am planning to do more videos like this. Or if you want some stories naman about the relationship, medyo kilig naman, then I'm happy to do that as well. We can also bring in John, I think, if I can convince him. So thank you so much for watching this video. Sana nga nakatulong to sa inyo, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!